All of us in this room together need to make sure that important laws like Act 250 are not the scapegoats for the fact that we have not had an economic development plan in this state for the last 8 years. And that's going to take all of us to commit to that, because that's what they will try to do. That doesn't mean that we can't make changes to the permit system to make it better. And that fits into 3 categories to me. The first is predictability. We need to make sure, as much as possible, that we give developers and the environmental community as much of an understanding of the timeline and the steps that need to be taken in order to meet our very, very high environmental standards in this state. The second is transparency. In this day and age, and with the technology we have available, there is no reason that an environmental group and a developer should not know where a permit is in the process, who is commenting on it, and when the hearing or the next step will take place. That kind of transparency has been called for from everyone from the General Contractors Association to VPER. And we can move forward with that kind of transparency, particularly here in this state. And the third is to prioritize land recycling. When I first ran for the legislature when I was 22, when factories were shuttering around Windsor County, the one platform piece that I took, other than committing to work hard for the community that brought me up, was that we needed to make sure that we were recycling the industrialized abandoned land and building jobs and housing there before we started to compromise our farm and forest land. When I was in the legislature, I worked with people here in this room to pass the first Brownfields bill, to pull together the pieces for the Downtowns bill, and to be able to make sure that we made those types of properties a priority, which we should do.
For me, it's a legacy issue. We need to leave Vermont better than we found it, and that may mean making sure that folks can get through the process, but we don't want to do it at the expense of the things that make Vermont special, like making sure that our natural environment stays clean. So, thank you.
As we talk about permit reform, the first thing I have to say is Act 250 works. Act 250 has made Vermont a better place. Now, are there shortcomings? Yes. Can we make it better? Yes, I believe that we can. But to me, it's really about management. It's about having a governor who is committed to a clean environment, who is committed to making sure that the process works, and is committed to making sure that we don't allow flaws in the system to become, as they have under the current administration, to become excuses to diminish our environmental protections or to cut the public out of the process. Every proposal that I've seen come from this current administration of so-called permit reform will hurt our values and will hurt the ability of the public to participate. I take the role of governor as the CEO of the state very seriously. Yes, you have to be a politician, but you also have to be a good manager. And you have to hire good people who are going to make sure the process works. And especially for small businesses. I'm a small business person too. I'm not a developer, but I deal with permits on a regular basis in my business. And when you have businesses, whatever they like, who say, we will follow the law, tell us how to do this, then the state has to be business friendly. That's a management issue, and that is not being done in the state of Vermont today. There's some parts of state government that are doing it well, but A&R has not been doing it very well. So I think that we approach this, again, as a management issue, maintain those values that we hold dear, recognize the shortcomings, and make sure that we don't let those shortcomings, again, become excuses for not acting.
Permit reform. The last run we had at permit reform was in the beginning of the Douglas administration. And the first part of this question is, what's wrong with the permit process? It's too long. It's difficult for citizens to be involved. If you're really, really wealthy, you can be involved. And it isn't any faster. The fundamental flaw in all of the permit reform attempts that have been made is the failure to integrate the 40 or 50 permits that the Agency of Natural Resources issues. We have, as close as I can figure out, you're all welcome to correct me, we have 3 things to protect. air, water, and the land. I don't think it takes 50 different permits that are overlapping and conflicting to deal with that. So real permit reform needs to deal with that issue. It needs to be, several people have said, it needs to be simple, it needs to be effective, it needs to be fast, and it needs to be affordable. I know that the environmental community has spent the summer and fall working on a comprehensive permit reform bill, and I have seen it and I've talked with them about it, and I hope they come out public with it pretty soon, because it's very, very good. And it addresses my ideas about needing to fundamentally restructure how we do things, because it does more, faster, better, and in a more cost-effective manner. That's what we need to have for.
You know, I was born and raised in Windham County. That's where Act 250 was born. It was born there because folks from down country came up here with skis on the backs of their cars and decided that they'd divide this place up, make a lot of money, and go back home. And some very, very bright Vermonters, under the leadership of Republican Governor Dean Davis, got together and said enough is enough. And I think that they should be carved in the top of Mount Mansfield. Act 250 should be as valued and as cherished as the Constitution of the state of Vermont. It has served us well, and guess what? The reason that we're not having the economic problems of Las Vegas and Miami and Los Angeles and the rest is because we don't speculate here. We have a process that allows us to plan. So we get it. If you elect any of us governor, we'll defend the original Act 250, and we should all stop picking on it. Listen, 97% of the folks who go through Act 250, and I'm one of them, I am a real estate developer, go through the process without problems. We're talking about the 3%, and the fact that we've had a governor for 8 years who runs around the country saying Vermont's a lousy place to do business, and we have a terrible permit process. I gotta tell you, I've run a couple of businesses. I've never sold a product by telling a buyer how bad it is. We have a job to do in our new government, and it's this simple. Tell people how great our state is because of, not in spite of, Act 250. That's our job together. Point number 2. Jim Douglas, George Crombie, and the rest have almost single-handedly destroyed environmental protection in the state of Vermont. If you don't believe me, go talk to the people who are actually doing the work there. Republicans, Democrats in that agency will tell you that because of the layoffs, they can't do their job. So before you reinvent the wheel, let's stop decimating state government, give our people the resources they need to do their job, and let the world know that the same lesson that I've learned time and time again. There's no better place to do business than the state of Vermont. Come here, prosper with us, and stand by us, and you will learn to love Act 250 too.